Welcome to Beyond the Blueprint, the podcast where we explore growth, resilience, and lessons that shape our journeys.
I'm Barry, and I'm here with my brother Timoni. Together we dive into honest conversations about life, success, and everything in between.
This is a space for relatable insights, practical advice, and stories that help you carve your own path.
So let's look beyond the blueprint.
It's actually Mtolankani. That's a journalist in Nyanja. Or Chewa, Mtolankani. But I've just spelt it Mutola. It's actually Mtolankani.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Have you pressed record?
I'm recording actually.
On both?
On both, so we can kick it off.
All right. I hope you include that in. Welcome back to Beyond the Blueprint. It's been, I don't know if it's been a while, but anyway, we're back. That's what matters. Pretty interesting episode that we've got lined up today with a pretty interesting guest. But before we introduce the guest, Timoni, how are you doing?
I'm all good, bro. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Are you waiting for me
to
talk?
You asked me. I'm kind of deflecting. My bad. But no, I'm good, man. A bit of a different setup. We are currently in Lusaka.
This is the first audiovisual episode that we've recorded away from Solwezi.
Yeah, which is a bit of a milestone. So that's great. Bit of a different environment, scenery. So I'm good, man. Like I think we're off work right now, which is why we're here.
Yeah.
So we kind of chose to mix a bit of pleasure. I'm not gonna say pleasure in business because the podcast is still pleasure. So yeah, it's good.
Talking about firsts, this is the first female guest as well. So no pressure. But yeah, I think you asked me how I'm doing. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good. I think it's nice to be away from the office every now and then just to clear the mind, do something different. Of course, Lusaka, Solwezi, it's not like I'm on the moon or anything like that, but
it's no Cape Town.
It's no Cape Town, but it is still something away from the dust and the high vis and the reflective clothing.
100%.
But anyway, without making this any more awkward, as you can see, we've got a guest sitting between us, so we're going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, I just wanted to do my little thing. So, sometimes you say your name, but I just want to filter through to the really important things of who you are. So what I'll do is basically to put you under pressure, and we'll still go deeper into some of these other things, but just to filter through to the core things you define yourself by, I'll start my time on my phone. So I'll give you 1 minute to basically tell us about yourself. Okay.
It's a bit like an elevator pitch.
It's an elevator pitch type of thing. So
no pressure.
No pressure.
Do I look at the camera then? Or
look at where you feel comfortable.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And go. 1 minute starts.
Okay. My name is Moono Chungu. I am a journalist by profession. I am also an author by profession. I work in marketing. I come from a family of 2 children. I'm the youngest, so I have serious last born syndrome. The pressure.
You still got a good 40 seconds left, so just
I like
go
to
on.
write. If I could do one thing for the rest of my life, I would write. But I also love video content creation, and I love spending time with family. I'm a Christian, and I'm a very happy person. Do I still have time?
Got a good 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Give us more. They want to hear more.
What else have you got?
I like to dance.
Okay.
All right.
This is hard.
It is?
It is hard.
Okay, I think we can end the punishment.
We can end the punishment. I think we've gotten a lot. Yeah, let's not stress you out too much.
So to summarize that, it's writing, happy person, dancing, journalist, marketing, spending time with family. That's a lot. That is a lot. One more icebreaker is if there was anything that the listeners found out about you that would surprise them, what would the thing be? It doesn't have to be anything deep or anything too serious. If it's a murder, please don't tell us. But what would it be?
I was bullied in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good place to start.
Why would that be surprising?
Actually, it's not. 'Cause I feel like I talk about that so much.
Okay.
But hopefully they don't know me. Some of them don't know me, so they might not know that. So I think I come off like a very strong person. So I think people wouldn't assume I was one who was bullied. Okay. Maybe because I've also transitioned. I mean, I still get bullied even now, to be honest. But
really,
guys, work.
Now we'll dig into that. But I've got a question, and I think this is a good place to start. Is describe to what extent you're comfortable with what the bullying was, especially at a younger age, and then where the question comes in is like, what impact has that had on you as a person as you've grown over the years? Or as you traversed your younger years, yeah.
I think when I was much younger, it was like just kid stuff, like, oh, talking about your appearance and stuff like that. And then when I grew a bit older, like in high school, it was like, oh, you're dry.
You're dry.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like
And
you're
I'm only
bland.
asking.
You don't have story to you. You don't have, there's nothing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And then how that has helped me, or like how that has transitioned now, is I think it gave me a thick skin, and I think it really taught me to defend myself a lot. So now, like, I'm very aggressive if I take a hint of someone trying to belittle me or stuff like that. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you think bullying is necessary for character development?
I don't like bullying at all, to be honest. But I guess it's good, yeah. But not really, hey? Actually.
Okay, good might not be the word,
Yeah,
but
like,
Is it necessary?
is it
I don't
necessary?
think so. Because I think there's other ways you can build someone's character.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, someone
because
might.
bullying can also go in the route of making someone think, for example, if you say you're not going to be anything or things like that, some people actually believe that, and then it stops their path, and then they just end up not
Actually
coming to their full
becoming.
potential.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Timoni, were you bullied or
I
were you
actually
a bully?
maybe, sometimes there's a bit of a denial, and it's funny that I think that we've kind of spoken about this in a previous episode, especially with regard to me. I was, I think, but I think I was, and for me it was more of like people belittle, like making you like smaller than them or making you think you're like less than them. So it's the sort of things like
When you say you were bullied or
I
you
was
were
bullied.
the bully?
No,
Okay.
I was not the bully. I would hope I wasn't. No, I don't think I was. But okay, it was high school mostly. So people making you feel like you're smaller than them. People kind of like, it's like it's normal, especially for guys, which is wrong, but it's normal like amongst guys that you've always got like the alpha guy in high school, alpha male, who then like I always say a group of guys, maybe like 3 or 4 guys, and they just want to like dominate, like put all their
Exert their dominance.
exert their dominance on everyone else. And I kind of did go through that. And funny enough, I will agree, it helped me build character. And yeah, like it made me realize like you need to stand up for yourself. Or okay, for me, what it's helped with is like, and I always like tying most things to like drive, motivation, success. Even now, like when I work out in the gym or when I like pursue the things that I'm pursuing, like this podcast or like my career, it's always like people made you feel small when you were younger, but that doesn't define who you are, and you need to break past those boundaries. And I think it helped me. Like maybe if I was always like I was never like kind of bullied, maybe I'll take things a bit more easy. I'll be a bit more easygoing about things I'm trying to achieve. That's me.
Okay, all right.
Obviously, we're gonna spin the question around to you.
Was
you
I
bullied?
Was I bullied? I would say yes and no. Yes, because people always try their luck, but no, because I think my demeanor is that of a person who doesn't really seem fazed by stuff. And then also, I think what I do get as feedback from people sometimes is that I don't smile much. My demeanor is very intimidating. That's what I get from people. I'm not saying that that's what it is, right? I don't know.
It is what it is.
So I think sometimes people that
Having
were
lived with you for a very long time, it is what it is. Don't smile much.
So anyway, people have then said, I used to get this energy from like even my seniors. They would sort of just avoid, like they would bully all the other guys, but for me it was just like, let's just leave him because I think I always looked like a type of person who they never really knew what could happen because it could just snap and then yeah. So yes or no, and I never really bullied anyone, just minded my business. Yeah, but anyway.
Do you want to tell them about so we were actually talking about something just before we started. Where did you grow up? Tell us about where you grew up and where you went but basically like I'm sure you did your primary as well. Tell us about that.
So when I was born, my parents lived in Ndola, but my mom wanted to give birth to me in Luansha, so I was born in Luansha. And then we moved to Lusaka when I was, I think, 2. And then moved to Kitwe when I was 6. Lived there for, I think, a year and a half. came back to Lusaka, and my family has been in Lusaka since. Yeah, and primary school, I went to Nkwazi. Then I went to Banani for high school, and then Simba for A levels. Yeah.
And so
Where's Nkwazi?
it's in Lusaka.
Yeah, it's in Lusaka. So it's like near Pamodzi Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know you don't know.
No, I don't.
You don't
Just
know.
trying to think, but
But that progression
very
sounds.
diverse, man.
No, mine is actually a bit cliche. No, and when I say cliche, I mean in our circle. So for me, because I was Chengelo primary, when I went to Chengelo secondary, a lot of people that came into Chengelo secondary were ex-Nkwazi students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was very normal for an ex-Nkwazi student to either go to like Chengelo, Baobab, or
Yeah, there was even a list
Yeah.
that would suggest like.
Is it?
So Chengelo
Yeah.
was high on that list. I think.
Exactly.
Chengelo, Banani, ISL. Yeah.
And then Banani to Simba, never really heard of that one, but
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I think I was one of the few. Me and my friend actually, but she came and joined me later. So I was supposed to go to Chengelo.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't was, so my brother is very intelligent, right? Like my parents are also very intelligent. I was very playful growing
Okay.
up. So my brother was in A levels while I was finishing my grade 12 or my grade 11, and there was this one teacher who was so excited, like I got accepted without applying because of my brother, which was the case for almost all my schools actually. But the pressure, every time he saw me, he'd be like, "You are coming here." So I just said, you know what? I just told my parents, listen, I want to take a gap year. And the excuse I gave them was that I didn't want to go from the bush, because Banana is in the bush,
Yeah.
to deeper in the bush of Mukoshi.
Okay.
So then I took a gap year, and then they were like, okay, your time is coming up, so what are you going to do? So they were like, if you don't have a plan, you're going to Chengelo. And I already had classmates who had gone to Chengelo. So I didn't want my classmates to now become my
Your
seniors.
seniors.
And these were classmates from Nkwazi. So I was like, hey, guys,
Yeah.
what's the alternative? Simba starts school in September. So I just went to Simba. Yeah. So that's
Does
how
that is that something that generally bothers you? I know it's a bit of a tangent, but people that you were at the same level as, because you see, okay, where I'm coming from is when we're in high school, the progression is very defined. You know that you go from one form to the next, to the next, to the next, and after 12 years, unless otherwise, you graduate high school, right? And then other people go back for A levels, others go to uni, others start businesses, others become parents. We all know how it goes, right? But sometimes what I pick up is I meet people who are my seniors in society now. We're employees, we're a whole bunch of different things. And some of them sometimes still want that structure to exist.
Yeah,
Where they
yeah.
still want to exert, they still want to act like that senior, junior,
Complex.
like structure still exists, which is a bit silly because it's not, I get the whole, they might be older than me, so therefore there should just be some sort of respect. But there's a few other factors in and around this senior, junior structure that don't really hold anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to your comment, does it bother you that there are some people who might have been younger than you who could potentially be doing better than you, and that's subjective, or it doesn't really matter?
in life now, no, it doesn't matter. But then, just the thought of going to A level, and my brother was still an outstanding student. So they would still remember that's Chanda's sister. So not only that, but I really, really was like, no, she's going to be my senior. It was this one girl. So in my mind, that for me was just like, nah, let me just go to another school. Let's just move on from Chengelo.
I've got one. So you spoke about the fact that even getting accepted to, was it Simba?
No, not Simba. So I think in
Nkwazi,
it was
okay.
they encouraged kids to be okay, if you have a sibling there, all the siblings should come to the school.
Okay.
So yeah, I think my brother got into Nkwazi.
But did you say that he
before
was an outstanding performer as well?
me. Yes.
Yeah. So then, to make this question very blunt, did you ever feel like you ever lived in his shadow, or
I
not
think
really?
I kind of still do.
Okay.
Because he's led by example academically. Even now, I don't have a master's, and that's constantly there. And he's not making it easier for me because he has 2 masters and he's doing his PhD.
A master's in what and what?
So he's a lawyer. So the first one is labor law, And the other one, he's going to be so sad. I don't know. But it's another type
Okay,
of law.
that's
Okay,
cool.
so
That's
Yeah, and then
very
he's
cool.
doing his
And
PhD.
does that motivate you? Does that push you to also do better as well?
No, because I've learned that I'm completely different from
different
him.
person.
Like my strengths are in another area. I did end up performing very well in uni, but just because I told myself to. But I think he's a different person, and I'm happy for him. Yay, keep doing what you're doing. But no, not anymore. In fact, I don't think it ever has. Because even when I was in primary, the reason I was playful was because I had decided for myself that my brother is intelligent and I'm not, and that's fine. Yes. So, yeah.
You spoke of your strengths, and I think that's a good way to get into
To
what might
segue
be
into
the main what we're mostly here for, and what caught our attention about you. Tell us a bit about your strengths, and you said you're in marketing right now, right?
Yes.
And how you ended up there and why
Yeah.
marketing. You know.
Yeah. So, initially, in fact, this should have been something that people may not know, is I wanted to be an accountant, but because both my parents are accountants, my dad was, my mom is an accountant. So, I wanted to be an accountant, and then in grade 10, I was studying it and I didn't like it. So now I started thinking, okay, maybe I should be an actress, but my parents are African. So my dad was like,
Zambian, to be
yeah, my dad
specific.
was like, okay, but
to be a football player here?
maybe get a degree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad was like, get a degree in something else. So in searching for what I could study, my principal suggested I should study journalism because I loved writing and I loved public speaking. Like almost every assembly, I was acting or doing something. So she suggested journalism, and from that day, I wanted to be a journalist. So when I went to uni, I could double major. So I decided I was already going there for journalism and media studies. And then I took a whole bunch of other minors, which would then, one of them would become my second major. And English literature is something I've carried throughout, like from literally actually primary.
Okay.
So yeah, one of my strengths is writing. If I could do one thing for the rest of my life, I would write. So yeah, those are my strengths.
So mine is, of course, at the moment you're in marketing, right? And you basically pivot career-wise from journalism into marketing. How was that? Was it difficult? Did you ever find instances where you worked with people in marketing who said, but you're a journalist, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Or what sort of happened? What was the sign that was thrown at you that said, yep, I'm ready to drop journalism and I can move into marketing? What's the...
But wait, I've actually also got a question before you answer Barry's. Well, I think you answer them two in one. Did you ever actually practice journalism? Okay, how? And then
So I did. So I started working for actually my dream job at the Post in 2014 while I was waiting to get into uni for 2015 because Simba finishes in
May, June.
yeah. So I had like 6 months or more before going to uni. So I started working at the Post. So I worked at the Post for 2 years until they shut down. Yeah, but I also worked in South
I
Africa.
did not know that.
fun fact. Okay.
I did not know that.
So wait, what about the newspapers? Do they still make those newspapers?
Yes.
The only newspaper I know that exists, and this
Oh,
is
no,
a free
actually,
shout for them, is
I've
the
sort of heard of
Diggers.
this.
Is it
News Digger.
Yeah.
I love that because
That's the
News
only-
Diggers was started by people from the Post.
Okay.
So people from the Post moved into News Diggers. Two of them started it, and they got some journalists, and then they moved into the Mast as well. But yeah, they
The
still.
Master do. What about Times?
So Times still exists.
Okay.
Daily Mail still exists. Yeah.
I don't know if we should be speaking about this, but I heard like there was some fraudulent stuff going on. That's why they closed down the Post. But anyway,
Yeah, that's a story.
Allegedly.
Actually, my next book will have that in there.
Cool.
Yeah, it wasn't fraudulent. Let me just okay.
We don't need to get into
I
the
think that might be
details
for the next when that book's out.
when the book is out. Yeah,
we can
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that
Yes.
one. But okay,
Yeah. So
journalism
yeah,
to
so
marketing.
basically, you were
Before you-
asking about how I then transitioned and
Yeah.
how I dropped that. So when the Post shut down, so I used to I worked the 6 months and then I would work every vacation. Literally, like I come home on a Friday or whatever, Monday I'm in the office. Yeah. So when they shut down, I was coming back home and I didn't know what I was going to do. So Vodafone Jump at the time kept popping onto my social media and I was like, I want to work there. So I applied and I got in. And then when I was graduating from uni, they offered me, they poached me from Jump, which was like the writing platform, into the marketing department.
Okay.
And I've been in marketing since then.
Okay, so it was a very natural transition.
Yeah.
It
In
wasn't.
fact, like my lecturers, I actually messaged them to say like, you won't guess what? I'm going into marketing. They were like,
You.
because I was always like very traditional journalism, like, but yeah, so that's,
And how are you faring? Obviously, you spent quite a couple of years in marketing now. How would you say that's going?
it's great actually because it still gives me the opportunity to write. And then I've also like done other things now. So I really love video content creation. Like that's something that I do almost every day. So it's been great because I still get to do like journalistic things. So like this year I had my debut on TV, my professional one. So I've done TV. Oh, thank you. Yay.
Well done. I wish we had one of those clap things, but
Yeah, so it's still like I still do journalistic stuff, which is great. And for me, this is like almost like journalist. It is actually. Yeah, so it's great because I've gotten to do so many other things. Like I even at some point wanted to lecture, and I've gotten the opportunities to lecture because now, okay, come and talk about personal branding is one of the things that a lot of people like to get me to do lecture-wise. So it's been great.
two questions. Well, maybe one question. To be a journalist like us, when you start podcasting, you need to put yourself out there, right? So to be a journalist, you obviously need to write about things, and I guess journalism, it depends. You could have like the more factual writing. There was an accident, and these are the facts, or these are my thoughts
More
on
creative sort of.
on this particular topic. Have you always been comfortable with putting yourself out there as a person? Because another reason I ask this question is your social media is pretty active, and you've got quite a lot on there. So have you always been comfortable with putting yourself out there, regardless of what other people might come back to you and say?
I have, I think to an extent. I think now in my older life, I'm a bit private, so it looks like I'm telling you everything,
It's really
but
not
there's
sure.
also a lot that
That you're
I'm
not telling.
Yeah, so like my personal life, no. But then there's things like for me, like wins and things like that, I am. Yeah, so interesting that you'd say that. I actually haven't done much of hard journalism, so like, oh, this happened and da 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 da. One of the stories I wrote when I was at the Post was about yeah. No, am I telling too much?
I mean, if it's been published, it's
It's kind of already there.
It's
So
public
I don't
knowledge.
know if you remember when there was a sex tape between Bobby East and Ruth Ronnie.
Uh,
Okay, so that came out.
yeah.
And I remember waiting for so long because I wanted to do a feature story on that. So when I was at the Post, I then found my strength in feature story writing, which is like feature stories are like writing about places or profiles on people, right?
Okay.
So I found my strength in that. So I literally waited with my colleagues as they wrote the hard news about, oh, so they went to court, this is what happened. And I waited until after because you can't write feature stories until after. Yeah. When someone is in court, you have to wait. So I literally waited until I could write that. Yeah, so I love that. And with my personal life, obviously, once I stopped working at the Post, and even then stopped working at Vodafone Jump, in fact, it was intentional. I decided, you know what, I'm going to grow my LinkedIn. And in growing my LinkedIn, obviously, I'm going to have to tell stories about myself.
Yeah.
So in fact, it started before that. It started before LinkedIn because in uni, I had to have a blog. And I mean, I could have chosen to do fashion or whatever, just talk about other people's lives. But I decided to start my blog, That Zambian Girl, to talk about my experiences as a foreigner in South Africa.
Okay.
And that's when I really started loving autobiographical writing.
I like that you spoke about, like, if you want to grow your social media, I always spoke of LinkedIn, you need to put yourself out there. And I think that's actually a bit of a tip for the people watching and the viewers.
I would say it's a bit of a beyond the blueprint.
Beyond the blueprint sort of moment, yeah. Because I once heard of this, like, I may not be able to like recite exactly what he said, but I was watching, as per usual, my number one podcast, Diary of the CEO. And basically he talks about like even like, because he's got a community, right? The host, Stephen Bartlett, he's got a community, and he's got he's got like different platforms. He's got like what he calls like his insider. I think those people pay like a subscription, and they're on the inside, like he's got an insider group. He's obviously got his wider community.
Would it be like a Patreon? No? I don't want a Patreon. So Patreon is a platform on which you can host podcasts and people subscribe. And from there you can provide like exclusive
behind
content.
the scenes exclusive. Yeah, he's got that sort of thing. And what he said is like once he went to like, because there's this thing they do in the UK where they have like a charity football match every year and they bring in the biggest content creators, the Mr. Beasts, the Chunks, the Phillies, KSIs, and it's a charity event. All the money they gather, they give to charity. And I think the recent one, they brought him on. So he says like when he walked out on the pitch, and everyone like obviously they cheered like Stephen Bartlett. It was cool. Quite a number of people cheered. But when they brought on people, someone like Speed, there's that that
I show Speed.
I show Speed. You don't know if you know that streamer. He's a streamer. It's Gen Z stuff. So they bring on Speed.
Okay. I was going to say rich coming from you, but let me know. Let's not get into it.
I show Speed comes on and the crowd goes crazy. And he says what's different about I show Speed and him is he sort of draws on this, like there's a correlation between how much your audience appreciate you or want to connect with you and how much time you basically spend with them. So like with streamers, because you're streaming, you're basically spending all those hours with your audience and you're responding to what's coming up on the stream.
It's very real. It's very raw.
It's very real. It's very raw. But as like a YouTube podcast person, you're kind of behind the screen, then you publish, it's like separate. So all I'm just trying to emphasize is you need to be out there more if you want people to connect with you more. Basically, the more time you spend with your audience, you share your thoughts, you connect to them, the more feedback you expect from them. It's like a feedback sort of story. If you're gonna like post like content or like maybe once a month and it's very disconnected, don't expect people to connect with you. So that's
can I not necessarily devil's advocate that, but devil's advocate for me would be then what would you say about rappers? Because rappers have fans who, well, I don't know rappers, but I mean artists, people who produce music, like if, I don't know, for different people, different artists walk through the door,
most
they would
of them,
probably
and you
like,
see, okay, like some of the best performing artists in the world, especially like if you look at like artists' careers, right? The times when they perform best usually is when they're doing shows, when they're doing concerts, and they're doing world tours. I think for them, tours are like a big thing. Like when I'm going through African tour, SA, Zambia, what, then it hits big as opposed to I'm just dropping albums, sort of thing.
All right.
So I yeah.
Okay. No. Anyway, on the same one, just to take a bit of a tangent. So you and I, you know who this is, but I've got a friend high school. Got two friends high school. They're both rappers now. Well, they do other things, but they rap. I think they're pretty big. And one of the guys actually messaged me saying, "I like what you guys are doing with the podcast." And I was telling him that this is very flattering coming from you. And I mean, the compliment is always flattering, but from him, because it's like, rappers have aura. I feel like podcasters don't really have aura. And he's like, no, you guys have got aura in your own space. So that was pretty nice to hear. But yeah, that's just me taking a bit of a tangent. Back to back to what we're here to talk about. So you talked about writing, right? No, actually, I had another question in relation to journalism, media, but mostly in marketing, media, whatever it is what's that thing in media marketing that a lot of people don't know, but like it's kind of there? Let me explain. I meet people and I tell them, when I tell them I'm an accountant, they say, you must be good at math. And I tell them, no, accounting is not math, it's principles. It's all just about, you've got this transaction, how do you account for it? Yes, there is some math because you still need to be able to add ones and zeros.
But
the math is not like engineering math or architecture, is it architectural science math? But yeah. So what's that thing in media that
people have a big
misconception on? Yeah.
I'm thinking Zambian wise, so that's
like I know like.
Or maybe you could tell me, what do you guys think?
Okay, cool.
And then
so
I
what
could
from
demystify.
from my little podcasting experience and whatnot, right? Is people don't realize like how much effort goes into like doing like setting up stuff, and then they just look at the final product. They think people just kind of like put on a camera and like do the thing, even if it's on social media. They really don't know how much time is invested. I think a lot of people think it's easy, like it's a couple of minutes sort of thing, Yeah. And that's why, going back to Zambians, a lot of Zambians wouldn't even consider it like a profession, a business, And we're, like Bear and I would consider us like relatively small, but there's like big social media houses and platforms out there, and they actually invest a lot of time. Like a lot of like the older people didn't think it's a business or it's like they don't, like as you're saying, they kind of deny that this social media stuff is all play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's your answer has made me think of it. I guess it's that people think that, especially if you work at all in social media, then they think that's all you do. Like all you do is log on, post, and then log off. When in actual fact, you have to like also look at the trends. You have to also understand what's going on in order to create content. But also, you're trying to engage people's attention. So personally, I don't like, like back in the day, I remember seeing even ads like, how in Zambia, like on the walls, like if you're driving past Manda Hill, you see on the walls there's like a brand and they've made like a painting.
Yeah.
And it's so bland. Buy this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was young complaining,
this thing.
that's literally what it is. Even on the radio, there's
Yeah.
those ones. Are you looking for a house?
Oh yeah.
Come and buy
Yeah.
a house.
Yeah.
You're not even gonna kind of like
Yes.
soften me up, Just
but
kinda
there's
straight to the
yeah,
point.
you literally need to think about, okay, how do I grip someone's attention, but then make it creative, still sell what it is. So like for me, I really like indirect marketing. So like not like come and do this thing, but
Yeah.
like share the experience. So that's a lot. There's a lot that goes into
I've
that.
noticed you guys do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You literally have to think, okay, if I was this person, who's my target market? Number one, understand them. Number two, how do I sell a product to this person? Right? So it's all of that. And then also analyzing how the thing has performed, analyzing how you can do better, trying to make sure that the perception of, if it's a company, like for me, it's usually for companies, making sure that the perception of the company is positive. And if it goes negative, even if it's not your fault, trying to manage how you then turn people, like how do we make it more positive? So there's a lot that goes into it, but people think you just come online, you post, and then you're out. Yeah.
So mine would be, and allow me to break my thought down a bit here, is there's a lot more of a psychology to marketing than people think.
Yeah.
And I don't even know the facts or the stats, but I just know that there's a psychology. The second thing is, and this is for me more beyond the blueprint moment for the listeners, is similar to businesses, it's important to market yourself as a person. And the reason I say this is take the likes of Coca-Cola, Nike, Adidas. Coca-Cola markets like no man's business. They're constantly coming up with new brands and new ways of putting themselves out there. If Coca-Cola, in its magnitude, can continue to advertise, who are you not to talk about yourself? And I mean, like she said, it's a balancing act. You don't have to tell us about all the intimate parts of yourself, but it's just about being able to find a strategy and a way to sell yourself. So I think it's important,
And also speaking of, and this is against sort of my principles, but I once read something that said, like, how sometimes people do good work, like, okay, we're now talking about more like a professional setting, career-wise.
That was the direction I was going, but yes.
A lot of the people, like, for me, like my take, I'll tell you what my take is. Okay, at some point, like, anyway, my take is like, let my work speak for me, let my qualifications speak for me. I don't need to speak. Like for me, that's the point I always aim to get to. Like, let me be so big, or let me do certain things that I don't need to like constantly sell myself. People just from what I've achieved and done should know what I'm about. But like I read something that said like, okay, so you do good work, but like, you can like it's not a taboo to do good work and speak for your good work. It's like killing two birds with one stone. It doesn't have to be either or. No one's saying you either be the person that just knuckles down and doesn't market yourself, or just be the person that just markets and don't do good work. You could still do both, and it could still be beneficial for you.
And attached to that is, I was having a conversation with one of the managers recently, and we're talking about elevation and promotion. And I said, I would like to be at a place where I don't have to, quote unquote, ask for promotion or like for a salary increment. The manager himself or the leadership themselves should be able to say, look, I think he's been putting in really good work. It's nicer when it's organic. But then he countered what I had to say, and he made sense. He said, it's bold of you to assume that your manager is constantly thinking about your growth. Because he's also got a lot going on. He needs to run a department. He's got his own family. He's got his own personal things going on. And he's got a team, 60, 50 people. You might be one of the key people in the department who's constantly in his face, but it's still very bold. Potentially, there's an element of entitlement for you to think that he's just sitting there thinking about, I need to promote Moono, I need to promote Temweni. So
yeah.
it's also part of the reason why you need to own your own marketing and your own growth.
Exactly.
But to move away from media and marketing, you have talked about writing. For the people that are listening and or watching, if they're not aware, you have written a book called Roots, right? So the first one for me is for those who actually take the interest to search up the book or to buy a copy. I think you should. Is you spell the name of the book as Routes, and some might pronounce that as
Yeah,
routes.
so not roots as in tree roots. It's kind of like, as you said, like a route, like
Yeah, a
how
path.
a path sort
Or
of thing.
yeah, and it sounds like a play on words here. Why did you choose to name the book Roots over Roots, or Routes versus Roots?
It was a play on words, actually. So the reason I titled it that was, I'm speaking about Zambia's roots, like the roots of a tree. So RWTS. So like the roots of a tree, how we were
ROTS.
founded. Yeah, so like roots, like the roots of a tree.
That's what she said. Yeah.
So I founded it like, I mean, I'm speaking about how Zambia was founded, like 1964 are the metaphorical roots in this book.
Okay.
But then I'm also talking about where we've gone, so the routes we've taken since.
Okay.
And the reason I chose to go routes instead of roots is because I'm speaking more about where we've gone,
Okay.
right, than where we are coming from. So, okay, this is where we come from. This is our foundation. But where have we gone? Have we been misplaced? And how do we get back on the right route?
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds like a loaded one. So firstly, just give us a bit of an overview about what the book is about.
Yeah.
Don't tell them everything, because then they won't buy a book. But
Okay,
just
yeah.
tell us a bit about what the book is about, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so the book is about, it's okay. For starters, it's an anti-tribalism autobiography. So I speak about my story, being bi-tribal. So my mom is Bemba, my mom is Tonga, my dad is Bemba. And basically, because my first name is Tonga, Mono, obviously a lot of people assume I'm Tonga.
Okay.
So there was a period when I faced a lot of tribalist experiences, which my brother, whose name is fully Bemba, his experiences were the complete opposite. Not to say that he has no experience whatsoever. But I felt like tribalism is a very big problem in Zambia that people don't want to address or like admit that it's there. But I looked at countries like Rwanda and Zimbabwe, which have had tribalism and has ended drastically. So like millions of people were killed in both Rwanda and Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And I felt like if we didn't talk about it, we're going to head there because there was so much hatred, especially during election period.
There was or there is?
Let's see how the next election goes. But it's possible. For me, my experience has been, I actually had this conversation with a friend of my brother's recently when he was talking about how he's Bemba now. So he feels like it's obviously still there. But for me, I feel like my experience has switched a little bit. I don't face as much
Tribalistic.
negative stuff. Of course, it's still there looming a bit, but it's not as bad, right? So, essentially my book just talks about Zambia. It's like a love story to my country, speaks about how our first president and the founding fathers of our country, the freedom fighters, founded the country, and just speaks about how, because there was a lot of tribal mixing then, which is how people like myself and you guys came to be.
Yeah.
So it speaks about that, but then also speaks about how we're going off path by now saying, hey, abatonga baba so, ababemba baba so.
Yeah.
You know, when a person is really just a person, there's no way all of us Bembas can be the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
And
so
just
I've got a lot of questions.
just to translate, the Bembas are like this and the Tongas are like this is essentially what you were saying. Yeah.
Oof, I've got a lot.
I've got
So
a million as well, but yeah.
Firstly,
you go ahead.
a more short question before you answer my long question. What is tribalism for the
Okay.
people that may not know the exact
Yeah.
definition or have an
So
idea?
before you answer that question, I think this will be an element of us, a personal element of us that we might not have put out.
Okay.
Just for the sake of the conversation, so that people maybe understand where we're coming from. What tribes are we?
Renamwanga,
And
Bemba.
so we also share a similar
Yes,
experience to
oh,
hers,
to
which
her,
is
so-
that we've got two tribes, right?
Yeah. You had a term for that?
By tribe.
By tribal.
By tribal.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
by tribal.
I call myself a tribal hybrid. I
Yeah.
span that around as
Okay,
well.
cool.
Okay.
Nice little
Yeah.
term. Okay.
So yeah, sorry. You can finish your question.
What is tribalism for the people that don't know?
So tribalism is For starters, it's the discrimination of someone who is not of your tribe, and the belief that all people of a specific tribe behave a certain way and should be treated a certain type of way. So if it's belittling them or dehumanizing them, which is what it's like. So for me, I've had experiences where people would say things like, "Oh, Tongas are cows," and Tongas, obviously, I don't know
They're
if the
famous.
viewers know,
No.
Tongas are popular for being cattle herders. So
Yes.
Tongas love cows and things like that. So now you're dehumanized, you're belittled to be, not you're dehumanized into the term that you are now a cow, right?
Exactly. Yeah, which is wrong. of
Yes.
course.
So there's all these different ones. In Zimbabwe also, tribalism was, the Ndebeles faced tribalism by the Shonas. They would call them chaff. Like when you harvest, you plant and then you harvest, and then the waste that remains is chaff.
Chaff,
So
yeah.
the killing of the Ndebeles was kukura undi, which translates into the washing away of chaff. Like once it rains and the chaff
The
is
chaff gets washed
yes,
away.
so that's and then they killed them, and essentially it was like you're useless. And then obviously in Rwanda, which I think is more popular, that one is more known of. It was the between the Hutus and the Tutsis, and yeah, again also for them they were cockroaches, the Tutsis were referred to as no, the Hutus were referred to as cockroaches and killed like just a bug, essentially. So that is what tribalism
Okay, so
is.
and then I think I would like to take a very structured approach to this, and honestly, because there's a lot of actually like generally for me, I don't know about Barry.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with this tribe stuff. Like I don't have a very deep understanding because I guess I'll say, which is funny that you say. Yes, I would lie if I say I haven't heard about like people saying stuff like, oh, Bembas, oh, Tongas act like this, oh, they do this. But personally, and like the people, and this is what I actually like to say is where we're going, especially with the more I don't know if I can say modern first world influenced people. I don't even know the tribes of most of my friends, to be honest.
Which is good.
Which is good. Like, as I just look at them as like we're the same.
I don't think it's there a lot among Gen Zs, which
Okay.
is a good thing.
I have a counterpoint, but finish.
Yeah?
No, finish.
Yeah, I think the younger people don't really care. So it's like more older people.
I can ask my lighties. They're upstairs. Like
Yeah.
if they know what tribes they're friends
But
with.
I'll tell you something. You are limited to your scope and to
Exactly.
your circles.
That's why I said first world influenced.
Yes. But okay, that's okay. Then you've sort of protected yourself or you've covered yourself there. Because mine would be in the villages and giving, again, not trying to be tribalistic
Yeah,
or
of
whatever.
course.
Currently living in the northwestern part of Zambia, there's a lot of traditional practices I hear about, which for me, I'm like, that's very weird.
Odd.
What's the thought process there, right? But those things are still prevalent. And that then just goes to show that while you and myself, who's got that Western influence, so to speak, are currently changing our trajectory, our direction, there's still some people that are still deeply rooted, no pun intended, in it. So that would be my counterpoint. But
To
anyway.
go to a bit of a deeper level with that, like you and I always speak about like how we're open-minded. I think even like again, first world sort of thing is people are very open-minded. Like for me, if people do something that, so I actually want to highlight two things. If people do something that I'm not used to doing when I was growing up, I'm a more open-minded person as opposed to certain generations in the past, probably, where they're like, no, that's
Stuck in
wrong.
their way.
We do what we do, you know. But then also another thing to point out, and I always like, sorry, I'm comparing everything to organizations because I love organizational structures and culture, organizational culture. At the end of the day, we're speaking to culture, right? It's a passed on thing. It's like if my parents believe certain things, they instill those qualities, values to their kids, and they pass it on, and they pass it on. Because I can bring up a classic one. It's like certain tribes are like you normally might get married to certain tribes.
Yes.
So the cousin,
Usually that sort of influence comes from like your elders, because usually they're the ones that like direct and dictate how someone and who someone gets married with. You may not even care. Like again, I may have a girlfriend or something, or someone I like potentially want to marry, hypothetically speaking, and they may be the ones like, what tribe is she? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, okay, obviously I don't know, but like, I'll be like, that's for me. That's not like even a whole thing. yeah, I don't know.
So I was going to say to your structured approach.
I wanted to ask. I wanted to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why? No, sorry, bro. I'm jumping.
No,
in
no.
questions.
So
Why do we even have
mine was
tribes in the
just
first place?
sorry. I just wanted to throw in a bit of a disclaimer, because this for me is what I consider a
Thought provoking.
not like a bit of a controversial discussion, in the sense that there's some people that could listen and very easily misconstrue something and say, "Oh, just because I'm
they're
not
being
Tonga,
tribalistic.
what does that? Yeah, what was he saying? What does that comment mean, right?" So I think it's just important to disclaim the fact that there's some elements of this that we may not fully understand. You might have probably taken the time to do research because you wrote a book about it, but for him and I, we might not really know. But
So,
anyway,
please, guys, forgive me
if you say
if I step over
anything,
the line,
yeah,
like,
if you step on anybody's
bad,
toes, it's
no
not
bad, it's not intended,
It's not,
come on.
ill intended.
Okay, cool,
But yeah,
thanks.
now go ahead with your
So
structured
why
approach.
do we even have tribes to start off with? Why do we have different?
72 tribes in Zambia, to be specific.
Okay,
Why do we have
73.
73?
Oh, there we go.
73 tribes in
How
Zambia.
did you know? How were you so close? How did you know
No,
that?
because it's
Dude, I'm,
usually like 72 or 73.
I've actually
Okay.
done my research as well.
Nice. Okay, I'm clearly left behind very far. But
Yeah, some
tell
people
us.
even say 71, so they'll say between 71 and 73.
Okay, tell
yeah.
us, why do we have tribes to start off with? Why, from independence or wherever we came from in the history, I'm taking us way back. Why do
Yeah.
we have tribes?
So essentially, it's just the cluster of people. Like Zambia is very vast. And so we have all these groups of people. And essentially, some tribes are actually grouped together. So you guys are saying Namwanga. Namwanga is actually a form of Bemba. Did you know?
Did not know
So
that. no.
Namwangas
idea.
and Bembas are from the same tribal group.
Okay.
My granddad would explain it better. But essentially, people from the north, like, I say I'm Bemba, but really, essentially, I'm Lungu. But Lungus are Bemba. So, Ababemba, like Bemba people, Lungu, Mambwe, Lala, all of us, ne? were Bembas. And then there's also the Bemba, like from Chitimukulu. So essentially, it's just groups of people who speak a language. So tribes are like language or dialects. Maybe dialects is the best.
Yeah.
Because you see that Namwanga and Bemba may sound similar. Namwanga
Yes.
and Lungu, Mambwe, there's those similarities. So it wasn't necessarily to divide people, but essentially, I think at some
Identify.
point, because people were not moving, especially when we were still colonized, people had a perception, like maybe they meet one Tonga person, then they're like, so that's how Tonga people are,
Okay.
right? So that's when it now became tribalism. But really, the fact that we have tribes, it's just our identity. It's just a shared, like we're family, essentially. When you belong to a tribe,
Okay, it's like an identity. It's like
an identity. And,
yes.
you know,
So when you
every
belong to a
country has
football
it.
team, sort of so from extent, like
Yeah.
it's like that's your
Or
group.
like your
where-
community. So you
Yes.
all are from the same place, you're the same. But there was also a lot of, like, obviously because of migration and things like that. So there's all these influences and things like that. Yeah.
So I think before that, what I would say, I think one of the contributors to, okay, not necessarily tribalism, but why there's so many tribes, is I think the Bantu migration. It's got a very huge influence. It plays a very big role in how all these people sort of find themselves huddled up into one place. So Shaka Zulu, I think at some point, goes on his rampage, and he's killing all sorts of tribes. So tribes are now trying to run away flee for survival. And, borders, in as much as they even exist on paper, then, and sometimes even now, don't necessarily exist. But people find themselves clustered in borders, like in Zambia, in the borders of Zambia. And that's because because if you actually take time to look at some of the origin stories of even Tongas, they say they came from Congo. I might be butchering my
Again,
facts
yeah,
here.
no, don't stress it.
Namwanga, sometimes they say came from
Tanzania, yeah. Like a
and
mix
a
there.
bunch of different other people from different places. I think they all just sort of get clustered or sort of, in the boundaries, caught up in the boundaries of a country. And I think one of the big drivers is Bantu migration, people trying to flee from Shaka Zulu's rampage. And that's what happens. But then, to her point, it becomes we identify as Tongas, we identify as Bembas, Namwangas, I don't even know if Nyanja is a tribe, but here it is, and some say it is.
It's a mix watered down of Chewangoni, Tumbuka.
I knew you didn't know that.
Okay,
That's
well,
why
I just
didn't-
knew it's a language. I didn't know you can be.
Yeah, so
Nyanja.
Nyanja is a language,
So
but all these other ones are tribes.
Anyway, so I think what it then becomes is what she said, where you can imagine back then, when you lived in, let's say, quote unquote Lusaka, you would probably never need to go to the Copper Belt or go to Northwestern Province, and because then it was you farm where you are, you feed, there wasn't really a need to say, let me travel from Solwezi for convenience of certain things to Lusaka and. But every now and then, maybe for exploratory reasons or because someone decided to go on an adventure, a Bemba would trek from wherever he is to another land and meet a tribe and say, oh, I'm from this place and I'm this. And maybe that's where those misconceptions come from, because some of it is like, Bembas are known for being cunning, conniving, and they're known for being thieves. I've actually
These things are crazy that you guys are saying.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Namwangas, interestingly, I've asked a few people, but people never really tell me anything straight. And I'm talking about my tribes here, so
Yeah, it's
if
cool,
you're
it's cool.
touched, sorry. But like Namwangas, I hear are very good at business. Apparently, are very men.
my money.
The men are very good. Are very protective of their women.
Shout out, Dad.
And and some of them are actually, I don't want to say Casanovas, but are very good with the ladies, apparently. But yeah, that's what I've heard. But anyway, that's probably where it comes from. It comes from, you don't identify as one of us, and then these are your perceived traits, and you guys are like that, and we're like this. Yeah. So,
I've also got a question for Mono now. First, I want to get your opinion because, sorry, again, for me, and people need to start appreciating this about me. I look at things from a very like logical,
Same.
Sort of, for lack of a better term, disconnected from culture. You could say I'm first world thinking, yeah, whatever you want to call it, and productivity sort of thing. Like, okay, first I want to get your opinion on, and I'm sure the answer might be straightforward, but just so maybe you can explain it a bit more. Do we still need tribes? And like, but it's the whole thing of like having separate tribes. Like, I'm looking at it as like, well, one Zambia is that now, look, I know culture is still important and history is still important, but like, what actual function does it still perform in today's age, if you get what I mean? So
Yeah. I think we definitely still do need tribes. What we don't need is segregation and things like that. So it's okay to still be proud of where you come from. Because also that there's so much more to it. There's language that's carried, there's stories and things like that. And the country is too vast to mix these all into one thing. So I think still having tribes is good, but people should be more open-minded into, like, I can still be your friend and we be of different tribes, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it's important because tribes carry so much. There's the culture, there's the identity, and all these other things. Yeah.
Okay, where do tribal cousins come into this whole thing? I know there's tribes
So-
that, like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tribal cousins are like northerners Lwapula as well, and easterners are tribal cousins. So we can like laugh with each other.
Yeah, that's what
So
they
like
say.
we poke fun at each other. Like, yeah, when you lose someone, like what Bembas and easterners have is chimbuya, something called chimbuya. So when someone passes away from your tribe, they splash milimil or powder on you. So it's
Yes.
just to make the moment light, I guess. And then you also have like Lozis and Tongas are also tribal cousins and things like that.
Is
So
that
it-
because they're close to each other? Why?
I think it's because they're close to each other. I could be wrong, but I hear there used to be tension between them.
yes, I was actually just about to break that
Yeah,
down.
apparently Lozi men used to steal Tonga women. So now they decided to make it like light-hearted, like let's laugh at each other. Let's
Okay.
laugh with each other. And then even with the Bembas and the Easterners, that's what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research.
Dude, you are doing all this research without me. What is this? And that's what I look like. I'm the only one who doesn't know. what's
No,
going on.
no.
crazy.
I just wanted to make sure that people know that I'm the older one between the two.
Oh wow!
But
Is that like
no,
stage-
so to her, I think she's already spoken about it. The whole tribal cousinship, if that's even a real word, comes from yes. So I think tension, because I think, for example, the Tongas, as they were migrating from quote unquote potential Congo into Zambia, they do meet some tribes along the way, and they do have these. They do have this friction, you know, sometimes some fighting and. But it seems like once all of the fighting is, or the tension is,
dust settles
the
and
dust settles, they sort of they become amicable of sorts, and that's, I think, what results in the tribal cousinship. So it becomes like you know how you've got a cousin, you know, because your mom and your dad, or sorry, your mom's brother or your mom's sister
Yeah,
is
are
married to
related
somebody
and
else.
whatnot.
I think it's a similar thing. It's like we're kind of related, but we're maybe not.
Yeah,
But
okay.
we have this
Relationship of
relationship
some sort,
between
or
our
understanding.
yeah, and
Okay.
then, like she said, it was sort of geographical, where you get people from the northern part being cousins and people in the western part being cousins, but something like that, yeah. So for me, mine is similar to yours, because you know what I'm thinking about. This topic for me is very divisive. I think that's the word. It can cause a lot of division, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of beyond the blueprint thinking that as Zambians we potentially need to start doing to help us start going in the right direction. Now, I would like to use the analogy of, imagine you've got a team of people. You know what I mean? You got a team of people, and the goal of that team is to try and get them from one point to another. Some of those are blind, some of those can't hear, some of those are physically impaired. You know, what that does is it creates difficulty in the sense that the way you communicate to the person who's blind will be different from the way you communicate to the person who can't hear, deaf, and it would be different from the way that you help the person who does not have an arm or a leg to climb over something. And that takes you much longer. And I don't want to liken, for lack of a better term, I'll liken tribalism, tribes, to that. You know, we have different histories, different backgrounds, different places where we come from. And I guess maybe different thought processes and practices. You know, that could be deaf, dumb, missing a limb. What you tend to see, and I don't know if it's maybe just because it happens in the first world, is if you're Spanish, you're Spanish. If you're French, you're French. There's already some congruence. Like, there's already some sort of alignment where it's like, there is no difference based on what language you speak or where you come from. We're all the same. Therefore, trying to head in a certain direction is made much easier. So for me, when we talk about tribes not necessarily being, are they necessary? They are, like you said, because of the history and where we come from. But I think where it starts to lose its relevance or its necessity, if you, for lack of a better term, would be where we start failing to understand the fact that these things shouldn't be viewed as deaf, dumb, missing limb. It should just be viewed as history, where we come from. But there should still be some congruence and alignment, and we should then have a direction and agree to head there, regardless of what language you speak or, you know, what part of Zambia you're primarily based in. And I don't know if I've broken.
I totally agree with you. Like tribalism or tribe, sorry, shouldn't cross like even like work. Why should it be? I want to work with people so and so because of their tribe.
Exactly.
Like, as you're saying, because of culture, stories, that stuff's all important, but it shouldn't be carried over into certain other activities, especially where you're saying like we're trying to get to one goal, you know? Or I pick the people I hang out with based off tribe. Or then you start discriminating, or you, because you're a different tribe, I don't know, hang with you. It shouldn't get to that extent. I don't know what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the point, is these things shouldn't come, your tribe shouldn't affect who you affiliate with or things like that. But that's exactly what has been happening, which is what tribalism is, essentially.
So does your book have a solution for the problem? Okay,
yes.
What's the solution?
So, in the final chapter, I speak about the chapter is called "My Generation Will Make a Change," and the solution is what was founded when Kaunda started the country, and all these the Kapwepwes and so on and so forth, is one Zambia, one nation. So we shouldn't look at tribes. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Kaunda had a policy that encouraged tribal mixing. So Bembas were then sent to Western Province to work and things like that. So there was all these, and this is how, again, people like us came to be. So that tribal mixing essentially would then, you're forced to do life with each other. You're forced to be a community and look past what your tribe is and like do life with people. So that my chapter essentially just encourages people not to focus so much on wanting to affiliate with people of their tribe or who are tribal cousins, but instead just embrace each other, because a person is a person because of who they are, right? We're monolithic beings. There's no way, we're both, all of us have some Bemba blood in us, right?
Of course.
But you can't say that we all talk a lot, or we all
Steal.
or we all like cows.
No, of course not. That's crazy.
So it's that. It's just look at a person as a person. Yeah. Rather than, okay, everyone from this place is like this.
Do you think we're solving the problem, Timoni? The quote-unquote problem, you know.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with what I initially said. It's we're solving the problem indirectly.
Yes, I'm glad that you said that. Go
Yeah,
on.
like the unfortunate thing is people are losing touch with their tribes. Like for me, a lot of this stuff you're saying about people being Namwanga and Bemba, honestly speaking, I don't even know, which kind of shows that maybe I'm losing touch. We're in the newer generation is losing touch with our tribes. Like again, if I ask my younger brothers as well about some of the norms or some of our stories or some of our culture, they may not even know. But what that also means is if you don't know, then you can't discriminate. If I don't know what tribes my friends are, I can't discriminate because
Yeah.
I'll just judge them off who they actually
Yeah.
are,
As a person, yeah.
So yeah, maybe we still need to ensure. Yeah, you want to say something?
I was gonna say perhaps your parents have then done a good job at not teaching you that these people are like this, these people are like this, which is what I think my parents did, and I even dedicated my book to my parents because for me, I'm just like, thank you for not what did I say in it, but something around the lines of thank you for teaching me that, I shouldn't judge people based off of their tribe, because people do that. People really do that. I think my mom has faced that where like people when she was marrying my dad, some people in the family were saying like, oh, Chisanga wants to marry a Tonga woman, and it was like, oh, it's a Tonga
How could she?
woman.
He's lost
Yeah.
his
Right?
ways.
Yes. But obviously now that has changed. People have gotten to know my mom. She's even gone through like some Bemba traditions. There's something
Okay.
called Ukuingisha, which is essentially your in-laws inviting you like, oh, we love you. We appreciate you. We're inviting you to be our daughter. And they take you through a whole procedure of welcoming you. So she's even gone through those things. She's done matebeto for my dad and things like that.
I'm learning a lot.
So yeah. So it's yeah.
Yeah, no. So I think we are solving the problem to an extent. And like Temuni was about to break down, I think we're doing it a bit indirectly in the sense that like your parents, a Tonga marries a Bemba, and a Bemba marries a Lunda, and a Lunda marries a
intertwining.
Kawande. The lines become so blurry.
Blurry,
that
yeah.
Even when you want to be tribal, how do you do it? Because you will, basically give an unfair advantage to your tribes mates at work, in the absence of objectivity, but your spouse isn't even the same tribe as you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you might be stifling the growth of people who are your wife's tribe. So it becomes a bit awkward for you because then how could you be one thing in one place and another in
And
another?
another thing I'm also thinking about, and I hope my head's screwed on right, is because obviously a lot of this, again, if we're assuming that we're solving the problem and the lines are getting blurry, as you said,
Yeah.
Zambia is very young in how old it is from independence,
Yeah.
of course. But obviously, as time goes on, you can imagine a woman that's a certain tribe gets married to a man, then they have a girl, and she technically takes over the tribe of the man, and then she has a girl. That girl started off as Bemba, but because of woman to woman to woman passing on, those cultures are getting intertwined throughout the way. So it's just as we go on, there's a lot of
I
intertwining.
think,
as
but
you
my
said.
question would be, how then do we do it a bit more intentionally? One is write a book. So, of course, because then that informs people of a different way of thinking and looking at it. Two is having a discussion on a podcast. But what would three be? What would three be? What other ways could we intentionally try to break some of these thought processes? And I know it's going to be much harder for the older generation because they're already stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
And they might not be as open.
Yeah.
But then we could potentially have more better chances with the younger, more malleable generations.
yeah.
What would be a more intentional, active way of breaking those barriers? Or
Yeah. I think we will eventually get there. And I think the solution is, in my book, I suggest that election period is when all the tribalists come out to play.
yo.
Because during election period, you hear a lot of people or a lot of talk about, like before President Hakainde Hichilema became president, people were saying, if you vote for him, for years, if you vote for him, Lusaka will be filled with cows because he'll bring all the cows from Southern Province and now we'll be living with cows on the street, right?
Yeah.
So it's that, making sure that during election period, you're campaigning for yourself as a person. Don't bring in the chat of, if you vote for this person, there'll be this and that. And then also how we look at things. Like I remember in the 2016 election, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was in Dundumwezi, there was like 2 or 3 votes for Edgar Lungu, everything else was for
Yeah.
Hakainde Hichilema.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And Dundumwezi is in the southern province where Hakainde Hichilema comes from. And that was highly criticized. But in Chama, there was a district where there was 0 votes for Hakainde Hichilema, but that's not spoken about. So just making sure, because in the village, people do think I must vote for someone who is from my space. So you'll find that even from Bell's back, I mean, after Kaunda, because Kaunda, obviously, everyone voted for him because, yay, right?
Yeah.
And then after President Kenneth Kaunda, there was Chiluba. And during that election, you literally see the division between the country where the one half of the country, like literally split in half, was voting for. No, then I think it was a bit different because President Frederick Chiluba was Bemba, and then Kaunda was from the east.
Were we multi-partisan at the time? Or?
So no, when it switched, I think so actually transitioning from Kaunda to Chiluba, I think was predominantly like everyone voted for MMD because they were tired of the UNIP.
Yeah.
And then now from the time that Chiluba was transitioning, there was Chiluba and Mwanawasa. But who else? There was a time where the country was literally split in half. I think it was President Frederick Chiluba and the late Anderson Mazoka, where literally half of the country was Anderson Mazoka and the other half of the country was Chiluba.
Yeah.
Right? So you see those like extinct, like, okay, us will vote for the one who's
Because
closer
he's
to
our
us.
tribe.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's that. Just changing the narrative. I think the last election was much different, obviously, because like I think majority voted for President Hakainde Hichilema.
Yeah,
Yes.
of that.
But if we go back again to a thing where I was saying, don't do this, like don't vote for this person because they're from that tribe. So it actually goes to the politicians, just making sure that they avoid bringing a person's tribe into the conversation. We need to be intentional about like identifying as, yes, I am a Bemba Tonga lady, but I'm a person.
Yes.
Right? So I think it starts from up there.
Yeah, no, so I think it's okay. So that's very good. So it's about looking at a person's capabilities and their attributes versus their tribe and where they're from or whatever language they speak, and focusing on that.
Yeah, making
and I
judgment
think
of that.
that should carry not just at a political government leadership level, but even in the
Personal
smaller spheres of
relationships.
influence in your relationships, in your working environment, in your church communities, because
Yes.
those things are very prevalent even in those
Yes.
quote unquote
Oh,
smaller
yeah.
environments or
Groups and-
communities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess the intentional work towards that would be let that not be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Let's focus on capabilities and attributes and what this person actually brings to the table in terms of value delivery.
Yeah.
And if that then
Make
is
an
an extra
objective
thing, let it be
judgment.
an extra thing because it, we can't negate the fact that it exists. Okay. Do you still have anything else
I
on this
think
one?
on
Or?
that one, I'm clear and I'm happy.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah.
So to move away from this very controversial conversation, which I think some people right now might be ripping the hairs out of their head, let's talk about writing a book. So I've never written a book. Writing has never really been my strength. Yes, no, I English lit, English language. I think I probably got B's in high school, but it was never.
That was what wasn't your strength. Must be nice. A B.
Well done, Barry.
Yeah.
My-
And now it sounds like I'm.
My C is not an
Okay.
It
impressive.
sounds like
my
I'm
C is
showing
not
off,
that
You're
but
like
that's,
my brother.
that's not what
You're
it
like
is.
my
That's-
brother.
Aye,
My brother
man.
got
Keep
straight
showing
A's
off,
and the
man.
one
That's
B.
showing off.
I wasn't showing off, but anyway. So what does it take to write a book? I know another person personally who's written a book. You know her as well. But okay, so I think the questions we have is where do you start from? What happens when you like get writer's block? Writer's block being you've written 5 pages and you feel like you've already explained everything.
Yeah.
How do you know I need to break this part down?
Yeah.
This one is just a bit of a transitionary topic so I can very easily skip over it. What's the writing process?
Also, I'd also want to just to again get beyond the blueprint
Yeah.
and emotional from the emotional side of things as well. Like, obviously, it's not easy, from start to finish. The research, hitting boundaries, as you said, more or less. How do you manage the whole process? How do you see it through to the end, or from an
Yeah.
emotional point of view as well?
Yeah. So with me, when I decided I was going to write a book was after I interviewed a young author who was my age. And after the interview, I was like, this is interesting that you've written a book. And she said, you can write one too. So her book was about her life. But when I was writing my book, like what has happened in my life, honestly, for me to write at that point,
At
right?
that point, okay.
So for me, I thought more around what's something that bothers me, and that thing was tribalism. And so then that's how I brought myself in, is these are my experiences, but these are also other people's experiences. And yeah. So when I started writing my book, it was actually in my second year of uni, and that was the easiest part, I think, because I literally would wake up early, go to the library. In between classes, I would be typing away, and it literally took me like 2 weeks
And
to
you
write
had
my
no,
book.
you had no chat GBT, so you
No,
had
Yeah,
to. Sure.
like,
no.
hey,
I don't
this-
even. I feel
You had
like
no
ChatGPT
AI.
has no personality to it.
Yeah.
Because it would just give you a bland thing on this fine day,
Yeah.
So yeah, I needed to bring in the personality. So I literally wrote my book within 2 weeks, and then it was pretty easy again, like I said, because I was in uni. I had so much time on my sleeves. So I wrote it, and then there was no writer's block with my book. Currently, I could say I'm kind of in a writer's block, but it's because I have so much work
Yeah.
to do, so I don't actually get much time. Like when I'm resting, I just want to lie down and watch a movie or be with friends or whatever. Yeah, so that was pretty much the process. But where I found hurdles was, so initially my parents said, "Oh, you want to write a book? Sure, I write the book and we'll pay for it." And then when I finished, my dad was like, "You know what? I think you'll love it if you pay for the book yourself." So, right? Because
What do you mean, bro?
give me the
Just give me the
money.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I had to start saving. So I would save. Well, it was good for me because I learned discipline around even my pocket money.
Win-win.
So I'd spend less of it, and then I got some freelancing jobs. So I'd save all of that money, and then when I finally had the money, how many years had passed at that point? So my book was actually published 5 years after I wrote it. So after saving this money and then finally getting to the end, the editor, the publisher that I had spoken with when I had just written my book like years ago, I literally gave him all the money. This is how much it costs. Here you go, right? Oh no, yeah, I trust too easily. I shouldn't be saying this on here. Don't take advantage of me. I'm a child.
Give all that.
You are a lost born.
Yeah.
So last ball. That's
So I literally paid him everything. Mind you, I should mention that he was actually at some point my boss.
Okay.
So I worked with him as well. So,
So
of course there was a lot of trust
You knew
for
his
me.
character as well.
Well, at least you
No.
thought.
I didn't. I just trust very easily.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I gave him all the money, and I was waiting for the books to come, had even planned to do the release video. And then the guy just went quiet for, I think, a year plus. Yeah. So I
Okay.
didn't have the books, and now like the date I was going to release the book wasn't, like, I didn't know when it would be, because even the video that was already done had to wait for the books.
Of course.
So basically I had to even get another publisher, pay that person. Now I learned, so I paid them half, right? I
Yeah.
paid them in full once they were done. And then we published. That publisher did come back
So
and
wait,
give me the books.
You're like the first person, your boss basically. Your money just went down the drain.
No, he brought them back. So eventually, after a year, he brought the books back.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very dramatic though. So
Okay,
yeah,
yep.
yeah, he brought the books back.
Are they the same? When
They're
when I
better. His were better.
oh snap. Okay.
Yeah, his were better. No offense to the other man.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, they were much better. They've even like run out. Like
Okay.
the print was really, really good. Yeah. Then and initially it was like, I'm wasting all this time. It's been all these years since I wrote the book.
Why am
But
I
guess
even
what?
bothering?
When
Yeah.
I published the book, I decided I'll publish it. Rather not publish. When I launched the book,
Yeah.
it was exactly a month before the 2021 elections. And obviously, this is the main topic, is
Yeah.
anti-tribalism.
Yeah.
Election period is when this thing is
Gonna
heightened.
blow up.
And when the book was like launched, I featured on so many podcasts, TV, newspaper, magazines, and everyone said this book is so timely.
Yeah.
So even though it was 5 years,
And that's what I wanted to ask. Was
It
the
was
stuff
so
still
timely.
relevant? Did you change anything? No.
no, I haven't changed anything. But it was, for me, that was like, this is God. Literally seeing that after all these 5 years,
It's more
and
relevant now than
and
ever.
yes. So sometimes these to my hiccups, giving people all your money, it makes sense.
That's
Paid off eventually.
Yeah,
Somehow.
yeah.
yeah. So you spoke about a few things. The one thing you spoke about is paying the money, and. So what would also like you to break down is the business of selling book. You know, you know what I'm thinking about. There's probably someone who is passionate about writing and listens to
Maybe they
this.
even got a story.
Maybe they've got a
There's stuff
story.
they've
A lot of
written,
people have stories,
Yeah.
right? And writing a book might be good for them to put their thoughts on paper, you know, impact a community or a person, but ultimately they could potentially make some coin as well. They could make some money. So I don't know what the book business looks like, but what does it look like? You know, have you made money from
Yeah.
selling the book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
tell
just
us.
shed a bit of light, yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, after you write, you must get an editor. So there's a lot of money that goes into it. Outside of you write, then you get an editor. Then I went the route. So initially, I like to draw. I should have mentioned that also. So I drew the cover, and then I met a gentleman who said, "Your book sounds too powerful for this drawing. What is this?"
Oh,
Okay.
Right? So he says, no,
No,
you
we
must
sort
get
this out.
a graphics designer. So he
Yeah.
recommended someone. I went with him. He did an amazing job. And then after that, then my publisher did the typesetting. So typesetting is essentially making the book look like what it will look like for real.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right?
okay.
So
Not just
what
the word
it is
file.
on Word. Yeah. So then you go the typesetting route. And then you decide now, at this point, okay, so this is self-publishing, right? So you're literally funding everything. You can also go the route of going through a publishing house, but of course that route, I avoided it because at the time, you know, I guess it's imposter syndrome, like, will they even think the book is relevant
Yeah.
and things like
Yeah.
that? So I just decided to just self-publish, and yeah. So after that, you get the books, and then the marketing end of things is a lot of authors. What I found is a lot of authors my age do a book launch. So they'll do a book launch, they'll invite a prominent person, and it's going to be a big event,
Yeah.
right? And obviously there's a lot that goes into that. You must pay for whichever hall you're doing it
Yeah,
in. You must
yeah.
sell tickets. Like, I was not even thinking like
That
that.
big,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking more, I'm going to do a video and I'm going to post it. But I put a lot of intention into what the video would look like. I wrote a script for it. My friend at the time did the video, and he did a good job at it. So literally came home. Obviously, my book is about myself, who I am, and who I am is my parents. So at the time, my dad had passed away, but I got my mom to be in the video, had like pictures of my dad in there, made it very intimate, like my mom
Yes.
holding me, my baby, you
Yeah.
know, very proud and things
Nice.
like that. And I did a whole script to it. And so that's how we did that video, put the video out, and it went viral. For me
Yes.
at the time. Like it performed really, really well. And then it got me onto platforms. After that, this TV station invites you, that TV station, you're in the newspaper.
Beyond
you're
the
here.
Blueprint invites you.
I'm here, right? Yeah, so that's what it was. And I also like did little designs of like quotes from the book. So it was like a whole campaign, and it was just different quotes. Like, so I think people's favorite part of the book seems to be, my first chapter is called My Country. And I just talk about, like, I take someone through what, like, my country is like. So it starts
Yeah.
in Lusaka. Did I even say it? Yeah, it starts in Lusaka.
Yeah.
Then it goes into Mbala, which is where our village,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And then eventually I speak about the Africa Cup of Nations that we won, because that's also a very big part of us, and that seems to be people's favorite thing. So getting quotes from there and putting it out there. And then I also would ask people for reviews, and I'll just take screenshots, and I have on my Instagram highlights, and I'll just write all the reviews on there. Yeah, so that's essentially what it is. But it still goes in indirectly, because right now I don't speak much about my book. Like when I just released it that year, I was doing a
you were
lot.
all over it.
Yes. And then now it's died down, but sometimes people be like, "You have a book, guy? Yeah, let's get the book." Yeah.
So ultimately, did you make money? Did you make your money
I did
back?
make money. I made my money back, and I made profit as well.
Okay.
So now everything else I'm making is like, yay.
But would
Would you know how many units you sold?
I used to actually keep track of it, and then my laptop was stolen.
Or last you checked?
So far, the first publisher's books are done. So that's 200 copies done. And then, so maybe I would say maybe about 350, maybe.
Okay, nice.
350
That's
copies?
like
People have-
copies I've signed, but there's also people buy on Amazon, which I don't sign. So that I have to check online. I don't
Okay,
know.
that's pretty
So
cool.
it's north. Okay. Over more than 350. Okay. So technically speaking, someone who has got the passion, has got the time, and has got the capital could potentially basically make writing a business.
Yes, you could, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
do you
I
have
want to
one?
ask
Yeah.
is like the process of writing a book or having written a book. What impact has that had on you as a person and how your life and you as a person?
Because you dabbled into imposter syndrome, so I'm assuming at some, well, you chose a different route, so you still have to sort of overcome that.
Yeah.
But then just to add to your
Yeah, and also
question,
challenges
Yeah.
as well. Like, what were the major? Did you hit any major roadblocks? Because you said for you the actual writing
was
small issue,
easy. Yeah.
right? But what challenges did you
Other
face
than
within
paying the
process?
person money and then
Yeah.
coming back
I
a year
think
later.
that was the major one, to be honest. Because
Okay.
when I was writing the book, I was also scared because, to be honest, the first draft, I was explicitly calling out politicians like, this one said
Oh,
this
wow.
on this
That's
interview.
it's not great.
That is tribalist. And I would have been arrested. I'm telling you.
We'll be interviewing
No,
you
I
from
would,
from jail.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
I would have been. I thought they would have released me with a camera, you know. But no. So
Yeah.
that used to scare me, but luckily I didn't face any of it. But because I took it out and I made it more ambiguous, like I spoke about how previously when I was writing the book, when it's election period, Lusaka is green. Right?
so
Everything
it's
is green,
green.
and if you dare to wear anything red, they would cut you until your blood or whatever your matches your shirt. You know, so I then put it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was nothing. Other than that, really, I don't think I've had any other challenges, to be honest, other than
And the-
the money hiccup,
and the
which
inc-
turned
the
out to
impact?
be good.
The impact it's had on
has
you?
been, it's been so good. And I'm glad you've asked me that because I haven't thought about that in a while. But once I wrote my book, I've literally spoken and featured on so many platforms that I would have never imagined. Like literally that year alone, I think I was on 11 media things, right? So that was really nice, like big platforms, And then on top of that, I've gotten opportunities where there was a time when a director was trying to do a documentary on the president and his long walk to presidency. So
Yes.
it took him 15 years. And someone, because of my book, suggested me. And so I wrote a documentary about the president,
Nice.
right? Following that, there was the time that Kamala Harris came to Zambia.
Yeah.
And she was doing all these activities. The same director called me and said, listen, Moono, I need you to do the copywriting of platforms. And that's the biggest side gig I've ever had in my life, right? So I copywrote this thing with its hiccups and I had to do it like within like 2-3 days. So it meant like after work, I'm literally, which was the same thing with the documentary. After work, you go back to work and you work until 22. Then tomorrow you go to work. Then you have to go back and do the
after.
documentary.
Yeah.
But it was so worth it because now, I don't know if you guys have, do you know where Mulungushi Conference Center is?
Yes.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've been there recently, but there's panels in there.
Okay.
And these panels have literally, so the documentary was a walk through Zambia's history. So it starts with, the way I copywrote it was, when you start, it's Kaunda's book, Zambia Shall Be Free, which was published in 1962. Yeah. And it was published just a few days before HH was born.
Okay.
Right? President Hakainde Chilema.
Yes.
So it starts there, and then it goes literally through Zambia's history. In 1964, Kaunda, it shows literally pictures of Kaunda and like has the descriptions and all of this. And you literally walk, by the time you reach the end, you've gone through Zambia's history from
Yes.
1962 until now.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
And it's still there, but also on top of that, Kamala Harris viewed it,
Okay.
right? Kamala Harris and the president viewed it. So for me, it's like, wow, look at my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, a girl from Bala,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
So I think to sort of start to wind it down a bit is, for people who've got talents or who've got passion with regard to certain things that they might think are small or might not be impactful, this, Mono is an example of a person who has done something and that impact has carried. Like she's talking about Kamala Harris and the president and the history and all these other people that have gotten to feel the impact of her work. So I guess it should be encouraging for anybody else if there's a person right now who's thinking, should I do it? This potentially should be the sign that you should do it. And yeah, this should be that. This is the camel. You know, I listened to that episode of Beyond the Blueprint with Mono, and that was the stick that broke the camel's back, and that's what had me roll over the barrel, whatever it is. So yeah, no, that's pretty powerful. Do you still have any more questions with regard to that?
I think she's covered it all. I think she's broken down a lot of what is involved in the book writing process and publishing and the I'll call it post publishing and what goes on there, and even some of the impact that it's had on your life, which is exactly what you're saying. Like even with us with this podcast, right? We started just like over a year ago, but even like some of the stuff we've received, like some of the feedback we've received, it has been some of the people who've like said, "Oh, I listen."
Yeah,
it just goes to show like, don't look down on yourself.
Yeah,
and if you want to do that thing, you should really just do it. Just do it. Trust me, and it'll pay off. Yeah. A lot of the times we criticize ourselves a lot more. We critique ourselves a lot more than like the public do.
Yeah.
Because like there was like certain stuff we've done and we're like, the viewers are not gonna be happy. And none of you have actually come back and said it's wrong, because we are so, when it's your thing and it's you criticize yourself so much, but other people always be like, wow, this is amazing, So yeah, go for it.
So we're doing this little thing where we get a question from the previous guest to ask the current guest, and they won't know who the guest was. So that guest didn't know that you would be the guest and you'd get asked the question. And then after the episode, we'll get you to give us a question and we'll ask the next person. I think we took this from someone else. But anyway, so the question from the previous guest was, what would you put in your epitaph? Now, I had to search this up because I actually didn't know what the word epitaph means. Do you know what it means?
Like when you die?
Yes.
And then it's the...
Yeah, no, it's showing you're a writer.
Yeah,
please tell us, what would you want put in your epitaph?
I was actually thinking about this.
Wow, what are the odds?
Right? But I would like it to say that she is definitely in heaven and God has definitely said, well done, my good and faithful servant. And I would also want it to speak about how hopefully I was kind to people and I was lovable, and especially my family. Like I would want it to say that I love them well. Yeah, which is now even making me be intentional. Like I should do more, because I'm very like, I love you, yeah. But I'd want it to say that, and also say that I was very passionate about my country.
Right.
And I was passionate about serving in where I am with what I have, which is my writing or my creativity, that I dedicated my life to Zambia and that I contributed well to my country.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Mine is, I think, the key thing in that is the passion. Because I think what I tell people is, Zambians in particular, I think we've got imposter syndrome and we've got an inferiority complex. I don't know where it happens. I do know where it happens. It probably happens in, I don't want to call it slavery because I don't want to make it about that, but there's a damaging somewhere along the lines on our mind and how we think and how we view ourselves as Zambians. Classic example, sometimes a Zambian football team is going to play a game and people are like, oh,
just
Zambia,
from the jump,
Zambia's not going to win this game, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I think statistically we know, from a stats POV, we know that Zambia is probably not as great as England from a football POV. But I think there's a lot behind rallying our team on and saying, even when we know you're walking into a David and Goliath situation, you might just be the David, right? And I know that, look, we also shouldn't just invest our faith in nothing. But the point that I'm trying to put across is we need to start believing in ourselves as a country as a whole and actually telling ourselves there's much more that we're capable of. There's much more we can actually achieve. And we are world class as well. We are excellent. We have got standards. So that's for me, my thing in your epitaph. I think encouraging Zambians to believe in themselves a lot more.
And I think what I've taken away as well from the whole conversation and the whole epitaph thing is and this is obviously very biased because I am Zambian, of course, but there's like this, because if you spoke about even like our first president and his book, and I think he said it's called Freedom, Zambia Shall Be Free. There's a lot, like, I don't know if this goes on in a lot of the other African countries, but for us, there's like this drive to keep like fight for obviously freedom and to be a better nation. Like even a lot of the stuff you've spoken about, and a lot of the stuff like even when you said like you served your country,
Yeah.
and even like your book and all the stuff everyone's trying to do. Like as much as there's obviously some bad negative stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I think what's like poked through for me is like just how much what's the word, in like joy, like how much joy and there's a word is on the tip of my tongue, but I'll use joy for now. People have to just like fight for their country, like how proud they are. The word is proud.
Yeah.
Like with a lot of pride, like
Yeah.
to be Zambian. I don't know. And again, very biased. I don't know if many other African countries are like us. Like us, we're like Zambia.
I think they are.
They
I
are,
think
I
they are. And I think we just need to carry that. We need to compete as well at that level,
Yeah.
Giving South Africans as an example. South Africans are very proud people. And there's nothing wrong with it, right? They are South African. They need to be proud of South Africa. So we're Zambians. Let's be proud of Zambia. And that's not to say that there aren't bad things, but I laugh at this. They say the U.S. as an example. Americans can never say anything bad about America. They will always make the U.S. look like it is amazing.
It is amazing.
Because when you talk about superpowers, America's probably not that much of a superpower anymore. There's a lot of other nations that can compete, but the U.S. have made it their MO to stay on top, regardless of what's going on in the country. And that's exactly the thought process and mindset I would like Zambians to have. So anyway, before we close, do you have anything else that you want to say? Anything you'd like to shamelessly plug? Of course, please buy the book, Roots. Get a copy, read it.
Is it? You said there's an Amazon link,
Yeah.
or any other buying links? I'll put them down
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
on the YouTube.
Yeah.
They'll be in the description.
But if you're in
and everything.
Zambia, I could sign you a copy and have it sent to you. Someone
Yeah.
in Solesi has actually bought the book and I
Okay.
literally
Nice.
just
Pretty
shipped
cool.
it there. Shipped
Nice.
it, passed it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else I would like to say? This was a very interesting conversation. Something that you just said now struck me, because I was thinking about a time when I was at school in uni, and I came back home for vacation, and this young girl asked me, "What's your favorite country?" And I said Zambia, and she was like, "What? I thought you were going to say South Africa." I said, "Girl, why would I like somebody else's country more than my own?" Right? So it's that also, like making sure that even as we raise our kids, we make them so patriotic, because then people would, even when you aspire for success in life, you'd want to bring it back home and develop our country so that whatever they thought was great about South Africa, we can make for ourselves, right? Yeah. So that's my last thing.
That's
It's been
yours.
a great
Cool.
conversation.
Thank you
guys.
very
It's been
much.
amazing.
Thank you
coming
very
on.
much for
Insightful.
coming through. Really appreciate it, for taking the time. I think that's it. For me, it's just thank you. And I really hope that I think we've said some things that are beyond the blueprint. And as people listen, there was one thing that I said, I think in one of the episodes, where I blasted people about managing their finances. And someone came back to me and said, "Relax, dude. Like, you don't have to blast us. You don't have to shout at us." But I wasn't blasting. And all I'm trying to say is I hope we've said some things that people will carry with them when they go away, after listening to this conversation, and say, I never thought about that. Yeah.
All
right,
So
so-
per usual, paid forward. Yep.
Yeah, paid forward. Thank you very much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. Paid forward, like Timoni said. And in everything that you do, the people that you bump into, the people that you interact with, think beyond the blueprint. I
See you
think
in the next one, guys.
see you in the next one.
All right, cool.
Bye.
All right.